Bradford City continue their 2024-25 league campaign with a home clash against Doolan's Accrington Stanley. And in today's video, you're going to find out how both teams have got on so far this season and what my starting level would be for this match if I was Graham Alexander. If you do go on to enjoy, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. 60 likes on today's video will be massively appreciated. Check out yesterday's League 2 Match Week 31 review as well if you haven't already. And let's get straight into it. So my team Bradford City, we currently sit 4th in the Sky Bet League 2 table. After 29 matches, we've got 14 wins, 8 draws and 7 defeats, scoring 39 goals and also conceding at 28, which leaves us on a positive 11 goal difference and 50 points. Our last couple of matches then have been a win, a loss, a win, a win and a win. In terms of them last couple of matches then, we had a 1-0 win at home to Harrogate Town. Job done, really early goal in this one scored by Anthony Sarcevic, and both sides had the decent odd half chance, especially in that second half where the game did open up a little bit, but thankfully we managed to get one over on our big Yorkshire rivals. We also had a 1-0 win away at Rotherham United in the EFL Trophy quarter-final. It's been confirmed that we will play Birmingham away in the semi-final, I think a week on Tuesday, so that'll be obviously a very tough one, but Richie Small's penalty was enough to see us through into the next round against the very strong Rotherham side. For the amount of changes we made and how strong their team was, this was a really good win for us, and we should have had 3 penalties in this game in total, and we only got given the 1. We also had a 1-0 defeat away to AFC Wimbledon. A really frustrating game in all honesty, but this is the only goal we've conceded in our last 6 matches, so a big credit to the defence. Sam Walker as well, I think, really has stepped up over the last couple of weeks, but this was a frustrating one. The goal we conceded as well is so disappointing, so sloppy from us defensively. It was quite a cheap goal, and then Wimbledon were able just to see the game out. We did have some decent chances in that first half, but unfortunately couldn't quite get the breakthrough, and it just wasn't to be on that occasion. We also had a 1-0 win at home to Morecambe FC. Again, another one of these matches where it was job done. Statistically, you think Bradford City absolutely battered Morecambe. Well, Derek Adams came out after the game and said there was nothing in it, and they were probably the better team. Sums up how deluded he is as a manager, but we got the job done. It was much more comfortable than 1-0. They only had really one decent chance in the game, and it was nice to obviously get one over on our former manager. And we also had a brilliant 3-0 win at home to Walsall. Unfortunately, this is the last time I'm going to be able to talk about this game, but what a performance. They'd come to Valley Parade having won 9 on the spin. Was it 17 games unbeaten? I can't quite remember what it was off the top of my head. Hadn't lost away from home since September, and Bradford City absolutely steamrolled them. Anthony Sarcevic with 3 goal contributions, Alex Patterson scoring 2 absolutely exceptional goals. He ran over them, all over them from minute 1 to 90, absolutely dominated them. Brilliant performance, and obviously that has been a big part of our success so far this season, recently anyways, getting these goals from midfield since Andy Cook's injury. If we compare it though to Accrington Stanley, they currently sit down in 20th in the Sky Bet League 2 table. After 28 matches, they've got 7 wins, 9 draws and 12 defeats, scoring 34 goals but also conceding at 45, which is the worst in the entire division apart from the bottom 3 teams. It leaves them on a minus 11 goal difference and 30 points. Their last couple of matches have been a draw, a loss, a draw, a win and a loss, so not awful form. 5 points picked up at your last possible 15. I think there'll definitely be 2 teams who end up with worse form between now and the end of the season. That'll definitely see them finish safe. I do think the 2 teams who'll go down will be Carlisle and Tranmere, but then next season I am concerned for Accrington. I think apart from Sean Wally, they really do lack a lot of goal threat, but I think, like what I mentioned there, Sean Wally is a very good player. They recently had a 0-0 draw at home to AFC Wimbledon. This was a good result for us, taking 2 points off of a fellow automatic promotion chaser, so a big thank you to them, but there was 1 shot on target in the entire match. It sounded like a very, very boring game, so fingers crossed that it's not a similar one on this Tuesday. We also had a 2-1 defeat away to Port Vale. This is such a disappointing result. Again, Port Vale being a team that are chasing promotion. We could have done with Accrington hanging on here when they'd pulled it back to 1-1. Port Vale were down to 10 men, and they go and concede at 5 minutes later. And yes, they had a lot of the ball, they had a lot of shots, but just again, really lacking that clinical edge. And I think Accrington have struggled to score more than 1 goal in a lot of games so far this season. So this was a disappointing result for Accrington, but also Bradford City as well. They also had a 0-0 draw at home to Cheltenham Town. Again, a game which didn't look like it was the most entertaining. It seems like they're trying to play for a lot of 0-0s at home. Only 3 shots I'm sure they'll be disappointed with. Again, only 1 shot on target in the entire match. Not really much to write home about with that one. They also had a 1-0 win away at Crewe Alexandra. Like I mentioned, Sean Wally, big goal threat for them, and probably I would say their best player as well. But this is a brilliant result for us, because obviously Crewe are a team who are in and around us at this moment in time. This one looked a bit more of an entertaining game, but big thank you to Accrington for taking 3 points off of Crewe. And they also had a frustrating 3-0 defeat at home to Notts County. A lot of teams have been getting slapped by the Magpies so far this season. George Abbott scored an absolute screamer in this game. David McGoldrick with a brace as well. And Accrington didn't really have much of a sniff, to be honest with you. But I don't think Accrington's survival hopes are going to be based on if they can beat Notts County or not, because Notts County pretty much beat anyone. Before we do go any further though with today's video, don't forget to drop a like on there for me and subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. Can we try and hit 60 likes, as I said at the start of today's video? That'd be massively appreciated. And don't forget to get your thoughts in down in the comment section down below. What is your score prediction for this match? And what would your starting 11 be as well? Now, I've built this team against Accrington based on what I think we should be doing in a couple more matches as well. I believe on Saturday we should be rotating a lot more and thinking with one eye on that EFL Trophy game on the following Tuesday, where a lot of our new signings will be cup tied for that one. So I would play a lot of our new signings on Saturday's game away at Newport. So for this one, I'd go as strong as possible and stick with the 3-4-2-1 formation. In goal, I would stick with Sam Walker. Well, like I mentioned earlier, just 1 goal conceded in his last 6 matches in all competitions. A big credit to Sam Walker and the rest of the defence, because I have been very critical of him so far this season, but recently certainly stepped up. He's made some really good saves. His distribution has been a lot quicker as well, so big credit to Sam Walker. In terms of the back three then, at right centre back, I'd stick with Aidan Baldwin. I don't really see a reason why you would change the defence when we're not conceding goals really. The only game that we have conceded is when we did have to chop and change the defence a bit. You know, we saw Johnson get the start at right wing back, and you could maybe argue he was at fault for that one, where I think Baldwin was pretty solid on Saturday against Harrogate, so I'd stick with him on the right hand side. In the middle, I'd go with Jack Shepherd. Absolutely excellent on Saturday. I think he got the supporters man of the match on social media, and he was definitely my man of the match as well. I thought he had a really good game, so definitely deserves to keep his place in this side. And at left centre back, I would stick with Romney Critchlow. Now, Critchlow had a few shaky moments in the game, but on the whole, I don't think it was a bad second home debut for Bradford City. There was a few times where he maybe overplaying a little bit, or his defensive prowess wasn't quite there, but I think on the whole, he had a solid enough debut to keep him in the side. I do personally see Paul Huntington working his way back into the side eventually. Maybe Shepherd moves back onto left, but Shepherd's been excellent since he's moved into the middle, and obviously you can't play Huntington at left centre back. So for now, I'd stick with Baldwin, Shepherd and Critchlow as the back three, but we've seen whoever really comes in and out of that defence, the unit as a whole seems to be quite strong recently. In terms of my midfield four then, at right wing back, I'd stick with Brad Halliday. I thought on the whole, he had a solid performance against Harrogate. Just that final third, his deliveries were quite poor, to be honest with you. He had a few opportunities, maybe 2 or 3, to cross the ball into the box. He wasn't really under much pressure, and he overhit them massively, and they were going straight out for goal kicks. One happened in the first half, remember, one in the second half as well. So that did frustrate me a little bit. I don't think Halliday's got many goal contributions so far this season, where in his first season, I think he got 5 or 6 assists. In his, obviously, last season, he got 4 goals, 4 assists. This season, he might have 1 assist potentially. He needs to start stepping up a bit more with his goal contributions. His final third and product does need to be better, but on the whole, defensively pretty solid, so I definitely keep him in the side. In terms of my 2 holding midfielders then, first I go with the captain at Richie Smallwood. Just a fairly bog standard performance from Smallwood. 6-7 out of 10, did his job well, wins the ball back, passes it to the more attacking players, and that's just what he's really good at. I think he is one of the best holding midfielders in this entire division, and it really does allow players like Patterson, Sarsvik, Poynton, Walker, Lee, Lapsley, Kayla, Kavanagh, Mellon, all the attacking players that we've got to really thrive, and without Richie Smallwood, I don't think they would be able to do that as successfully. And partnering him, I would go with Alex Patterson. Now, against Harrogate, and maybe last couple of games, I don't think he's really stood out. He's not been amazing for a while, so let's hope that he can have a performance in this one. I certainly don't think he's been bad in the last couple of games. He's just not been up to that level that we saw at home to Grimsby or at home to Walsall, where he completely ran the show. So fingers crossed he can come up with another goal in this one, because he's proved to be a real goal-scoring threat from holding midfield. As my left wing-back, I would stick with Tyreek Wright. Again, I've been really surprised with his performances over the last couple of games, but I think he's been really good. He's attacking ability seems to have massively improved. You know, there was a lot of debate around that at the start of the season, who was better, Wright or Richards, and a lot of people say, well, Wright's better going forward, and I actually disagreed, whereas recently, I think Wright really has stepped up a notch, so big credit to him. Defensively, he seems pretty sound, although I feel like against the better teams, he could certainly struggle a little bit, so hopefully Lewis Richards is back for the run-in around April sort of time, and who knows when we're ever going to see Teo Adaramola play. He might get the start on Saturday. That's certainly what I will be hoping for, but I'd stick with Wright at left wing back, because I think he's he's been very good recently. In terms of my two number 10s then, first I would go with Anthony Sarcevic. I think he will definitely start in this game, obviously subbed off on Saturday around the 65th minute just to manage his minutes and workload, because what is it, 32, 33 years of age now, so it does make sense to do that when he has played a lot of football recently. But I think at home he's really stepped up, scored a lot of goals. I think he's got 3 goals, maybe 5 or 6 assists so far this season, which for a man who's missed, what, 3-4 months of football, it's a pretty decent return. So I keep him in the side again. Always seems to have half a yard of space. He's just got that class that no one else really has at this level, apart from maybe a David McGoldrick, a Dan Crowley, but just let me have my moment, alright? On the other side of the number 10 position then, I would go with Bobby Poynton. Again, I thought he had a pretty solid game against Harrogate. Great cross into the box as well for Anthony Sarcevic. That's the type of service that Andy Cook would normally thrive on. So obviously Poynton knows where to put it, what's that sort of height to put it on, and it was an absolutely outstanding ball into the box. And I think on the whole, again, he just had a really positive performance, so I would definitely keep him in the side. But again, we need him for that game against Birmingham next Tuesday, so I'd maybe give him a rest on Saturday. As my striker, I would go with Michael Mellon. Now, I'm building this team based on the fact that I would think Callum Kavanagh won't be back for this one. Obviously, he was subbed off at half-time. He got a kick on his Achilles, and I don't think they're normally injuries which just go away in a couple of days, which is a shame, because I think Kavanagh, whilst he was poor against Rotherham, I thought really stepped up in the first half against Harrogate on Saturday. His link-up play was very good, and while I think Michael Mellon will end up being the starting striker for Bradford City, there has been a few people maybe questioning his work rate or his understanding of the press, and I do certainly understand that, because at times he didn't really seem to know whether he was going or needed to stay or which man he was meant to be running at. So fingers crossed with his first start for Bradford City, which I think he will get if Kavanagh is injured, then he can improve, because, well, he needs to. We've not really got many striking options, and we know there's a good player in Michael Mellon. It's just maybe that off-the-ball stuff that he needs to do a little bit better. On the bench then for me, that would leave Joe Hilton, Callum Johnson, Teo Adaramola, Brandon Kayla, George Lapsley, who obviously missed out on the bench on Saturday, Jamie Walker, and Tommy Lee. The players currently unavailable are Kieran Kelly with the hamstring injury, Lewis Richards with the shoulder injury, Callum Kavanagh with the Achilles problem potentially, and obviously Andy Cook with the ACL. So the players who miss out then through selection will be Colin Doyle, Zach Cady, Jay Bennett, Neil Byrne, Paul Huntington, Gabriel Wadsworth, and Clark Adol. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. What is your score prediction and starting 11 for this game? Make sure to like and subscribe as well. 60 likes, as I mentioned earlier, will be massively appreciated, and I'll see you very soon for another one.